We are back with another guest who serves as an expert in personal development and empowerment. His name is Tom Ziglar, and he served as the CEO of the Zig Ziglar Corporation and Ziglar Incorporated for the past 20 years. He's the son of Zig Ziglar, famed motivational speaker, salesman, and author of several best-selling books that many of you have probably read out there in the realm of self-help, helping people achieve their dreams, and find happiness. Now, the company's greatest work passion is to carry on the legacy of Zig Ziglar. And there are over 115 certified trainers currently in 12 countries to teach the legendary Ziglar programs. And each month, more and more people are getting certified and impacting thousands of lives across the world. And as CEO of Ziglar Incorporated, Tom shares not only a last name with his father, but also carries on his philosophy. And I love this one, Tom. You can have everything in life you want if you will just help enough people out there get what they want. And for over 2 decades, Tom has served as the CEO of his family's business. He's joined the Zig Ziglar Corporation in 1987, learning every aspect of the business. It's the only way to do it. Climbing right from warehouse workman to sales to seminar promotion, sales management, and then on to leadership. Now, Tom has had the privilege of speaking around the world to billion-dollar companies, small business owners, and at prestigious academic institutions such as Cambridge and Harvard. And he excels at speaking on leadership, business, and performance. And Tom's mission in life is simple: to help you become significant by equipping you to help others be, do, and have more than they thought possible. And Tom, I'd like to start off the show talking a little bit about that personal mission statement, which I find very interesting. And again, you say to help you become significant by equipping you to help others become significant. Now, can you speak to that and how others can find the significance in themselves and others?
Yeah, I tell you, and I sure appreciate being on your show. It's just an honor to be on, and I love getting questions like that because that's what our company's been about ever since Dad founded it. There is what I call a jump from success to significance. And the world, they get consumed with success, and then they have the wrong definition of it, right? I mean, success in the world's view is it's money, it's fame, it's power, it's influence, it's 20 million Twitter followers. It's all these things
right.
that really don't have that much of an impact. They might move the economic needle, but it doesn't do much for legacy.
No. And I know your father wrote a lot about embracing the strength, and he wrote about success, and he had his definition of it. So how would you define success?
Well, whenever I speak, I say success is when we have more of the good things that life has to offer. And I do it in the context of we teach the wheel of life. There's 7 areas of life. There's the mental, the spiritual, the physical, the family, the financial, the personal, and the career, and the family. And there's those 7 areas. And so we want to have balanced success. So we can't sacrifice our physical self for money, or we can't sacrifice our family for a great intellect, right? We've got to have balance in all those areas. And so success is achieving a balance in each one of those areas. Significance transcends that. Significance is when you help someone else achieve success and significance. So I tell the story in our company. We do this. We do a lot of sales training, leadership training, presentation skills training in the corporate world. And when we're selling to, let's say, a vice president of sales, we'll ask them, if we were to deliver this sales training, what would it mean to you? And they would say, oh, well, we would hit our goal. We would exceed revenue by 10% last year. Then we ask the big question, why is that important to you? And the answer is always, well, if we exceed our goal, that means we get paid more money. And I say, okay, well, why is that important to you? Well, if we exceed our goal and get more money, that means we have job security, and I might be able to pay off some debt. Well, why is that important? Well, if we kept doing it, I could build that lake house I always wanted. Well, why is that important? Well, at the lake house, that's where I want to spend time with my grandkids. So that's the why behind the why. And what I want to do is I want to take that step just one step further, because the lake house really isn't that important. You say that's success. What he just described was achieving success, having enough free time, enough money to spend that, invest that time with those he loves. Significance is this. Well, why do you want to spend time with your grandkids? So I can build a relationship with them so that they will know how to live life and teach their kids what's important in life.
So it seems to me that success is really about hitting at the root of a person's highest value, and in some cases it's about leaving that legacy. And what's the best way to do it then? Say gaining the money that gains you more time, that'll get you more resources, but it'll also form the more strong-rooted connections, as you were saying, relationships.
Right, but it's not natural. For some reason, people, they get so hung up on success that they abandon their relationships. They don't spend time with their family. I wrote an article today, and it was, I can't remember the title exactly, but it's the what, the how, and the why. People get so concerned with what they are doing. It's like, does my job matter? Does what I do matter? Does my career, does the business I own matter? And don't worry about the what so much. It's why you do it and how you do it. There's absolutely nothing in this world that's moral or ethical as far as a job goes, that if you did it the right way, if how you did it was extraordinary, you could change lives. And if why you did it, to send your kids to college, to provide for your family, to support a nonprofit, to travel, whatever your why is, to travel the world, if your how and your why are significant, then what you do doesn't matter as much. And people think it's all about what they do, not how and why. And sometimes we do need to change what we do. Sometimes we're not in the right position. But most of the time, if we change the how and the why, the what will take care of itself.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And in terms of achieving success, I know your father was a big proponent on, he talked about being persistently consistent. He said that's really a key aspect to that. So in your opinion, consistency, that's really what? The day-to-day of just continuing on a certain breakthrough goal that you want to achieve? And then persistent takes it to the next level, upping the ante each day.
Yeah, in Dad's book, See at the Top, he talked about how he lost weight. And we call it the BAM plan. B-A-A-M.
Bam! It's gone!
Yeah. Bam! And so, yeah, bam!
You don't tell that to Emerald Lagasse, though, because Bam, he was all about eating the food.
I know. And so what the concept is that BAM stands for block and a mailbox. So when he went to the Cooper's clinic, Dr. Kenneth Cooper, and he got all checked out, and they said you need to lose weight. He then started an exercise program, which he decided he was going to jog. And he was in horrible shape. So the first day that he ran a block. And then the second day that he ran a block and a mailbox.
Oh, yeah.
The third day, he ran a block and 2 mailboxes. Consistency simply is doing what you need to do every single day or as often as necessary until you achieve your goal. Persistency means that whenever you do it, you take it up a notch. And so every day, he was going a little bit further. And so it's real easy to see in our physical selves. When we work out, we could work out a little longer, we could do a little bit more weight, we could up our intensity. But we can do it in everything else in life, too. Like if we're in sales, if we have to make 50 calls a day to hit our quota, and we do that, that's consistency. If every day we do something different on the call, like day 1 is a normal call, day 2 we change our voice inflection on the intro, day 3 we ask a new question when we start, day 4 we introduce a new idea, and we're always testing to see what works. That's persistency. And so whatever we do it consistently every single day, and then we add something new or different to it. Every day, and that gives us continual improvement. It helps us move to the next level. I've been studying a little bit about, top level athletes who are the very best in their field. What sets them apart from the next tier of people who are really good but just not there yet. And one of the things that's very common is they have the ability to tell their brain that we can go further than we've already gone. In other words, they ignore the pain. And the number 2 principle is deliberate practice. In other words, they're working on something outside of their comfort zone that's new to them, and they're testing, they're stretching their boundaries, they're always getting a little bit better. And so that example in sales of adding in a new question, changing my talk, adding a new concept in every time I make a conversation on a phone call for the day, that is putting me outside of my comfort zone, and I'm doing it a little bit extra. And even though my brain is not in physical pain like it is when I work out, my brain is in emotional pain because it doesn't like to take chances when it comes to my career. Yet when I take the chances, I grow, and when I grow, I'm more effective.
Well, it's interesting that you say all that because those seem like the two ingredients. And let's face it, though, there's so many distractions in this world, isn't there? I mean, we have the cell phone, we have iPad, I this, I that. I can even tell you from back when there was a time when I worked in sales, and I actually worked for Quickstar, which was the online version of Amway.
Yeah.
And I would go and I'd show the plan, and it wasn't a problem for me to actually show the plan and sit down with people. However, a lot of the people that were in my downline had a problem with it. They said, well, I tried it a couple times, didn't work. I'm just not good at that. That's not an area of strength for me. So what do you say for people out there that are entrepreneurs that want to make a lot of money, that like to do sales, but they just can't seem to communicate it effectively, or they think they're screwing something up, Tom? What do they do?
Well, you have to make a decision. Do you want to be comfortable or do you want to be effective?
Yeah, that's good.
So we want to be effective, which means we've got to get uncomfortable. Yeah. Number two is a game that I always played when I was in the sales game every single day, and that is I knew that I had to get 10 no's before I got a yes.
So expect no.
I tracked everything. And so no's were never discouragement. No's were just one step closer to the yes. And that's because I learned it didn't come natural because my personality is I want to be friends with everybody. I learned because I put the right input in and I practiced it. If people aren't saying no to me, they're saying no to whatever I just offered. Right? And so I made rejection not personal and failure not failure. I made it learning. So the key, though, in all of this is we've got to have the right input in our mind every day to create that mindset that allows us to go and give it a shot.
And for people out there that have difficulty, if you're listening out there right now and you're hearing what Tom has to say, you're saying, well, I've tried losing weight. I've tried making the calls. I've tried doing whatever it took to get in good shape. And it just seems like, I get to this point, I plateau, and then it drops off again. Or I've tried to relearn a musical instrument, but it just takes too much time. Is there any way to expedite the process for people that are just really, really busy? Or is there no substitution for hard work and putting in the time?
Yeah, Dad had a quote that's pretty famous. It said, lack of time is not the problem. We all have 24 hours a day. It's lack of direction.
Lack of direction.
It's not the lack of time, it's lack of direction. So you have to remember that it takes a minimum of 66 days to create a new habit. And that's why people join the gym in January and quit in February, because it's not a habit yet. The other thing that we've got to remember is there's what I call a sequence to this. And the sequence has to be, it goes mental, spiritual, physical. And what usually happens is people start with the physical. In other words, they start working out to get the physical results, but they haven't changed their mindset. They haven't changed the way they think. They haven't put what I call the good, the clean, the pure, the powerful, and the positive in. And on the spiritual side, they haven't done any development. Now, in the spiritual sense, obviously faith is spiritual, but I'm talking about character qualities of honesty, integrity, discipline, character, all of those things that are spiritual qualities. And so if we have a big goal, it's going to take the right mindset, it's going to take the right mental, spiritual qualities, and it's going to take the right physical action. And what happens is unless we work on all three of them together, it's going to be more comfortable when it's raining outside to stay at home than it is to go to the gym.
For sure. That's right.
But if we've been working on our discipline and our input into our mind, we've already prepared in advance because we know that, here's a great quote from Dad. logic will not change an emotion, but action will.
Yeah.
Right? And so if we know, like if I'm going to join the gym and I'm going to get on a weight loss program and I've done it before and I haven't been successful, I know, I can predict that sometime in the future, I'm not going to feel like eating right or working out. And so what I've got to do is start planning my response to that today. When that moment happens, I'm going to go work out anyway because I know that I always feel better after I work out.
Yeah.
And so your brain, it's like we talked about with the athletes, you train your brain to say, you know what? The body doesn't tell me what to do. I tell my body what to do.
Yes. And that seems to be an issue not only for adults, but a lot of times for kids. They're looking for that immediate gratification and to delay gratification. And I know your father, he's written many books, and one of them was on goals specifically. So if you have a big goal out there, Tom, what would be the first thing somebody could do to achieve it? Let's go back to the point of losing weight. What would you recommend to somebody who says, well, I just don't have enough money to go to the gym and work out, or I just don't have the time. I have 4 or 5 kids I'm dealing with, but my doctor said I have high blood pressure. I'm in the risk of, pre-diabetic state. So what can they do to set a goal to see steps?
Okay. I'll give you a very specific plan of action. There are 3 things that goal achievers do that nobody else does. So if you're listening, write this down. Hit pause if you're watching the video. Here are the 3 things. Number 1 is they write the goal down in detail. They do the 7-step goal setting plan that we offer at Ziglar. They have a SMART goal program. Whatever it is, they write it down in detail. They identify the goal. They understand the obstacles they got to overcome, the people they need to work with, the skills or knowledge they need to learn, the people in their inner circle that need to support them. They put a detailed action plan together, and then they put a deadline on it. Those are the steps to achieving a goal. So number 1, you write the goal down in detail. Just saying, you know what, I need to lose weight, that's not a goal. That's a wish. And wishes just don't happen. Number 2 is then you work on that goal every single day or as often as necessary. So let's just say you're going to eat correctly 6 days a week. You're going to work out 5 days a week. That's as often as necessary. You've got that plan in place. And then the third thing is you get an accountability partner.
That's big.
And that is the missing ingredient. So who's going to hold you accountable? Somebody you love who cares about you, who's strong enough to say, hey, you didn't work out today. What's going on? Or why are you eating that? Right? So you need that accountability partner.
Do we penalize that person if they don't live up to it? How do we penalize?
Well,
without crushing them.
I'll offer this out to anybody who watches this. I have a guaranteed weight loss program. It's guaranteed you'll lose 10 pounds in a month. It's guaranteed. It works every single time. This is how it works. You start by sending me a check for $10,000. And then what I do is we weigh you, right? We get a scale, an official scale. We weigh you. And then 30 days later, if you've lost the 10 pounds, I will give you back your $10,000. I mean, it's an amazing thing.
Well, that sounds like an amazing thing. How many people have you signed up so far?
The success rate is unbelievable.
Yeah. Well, that would be interesting.
That's tongue-in-cheek. But what am I really saying is that when something's really important to you, you should celebrate the victories. Like you should have something you're working towards, right? It could be a vacation, a trip, a very nice dinner after you've accomplished a big goal, or whatever it is that you want to do. And you should have an accountability partner who says, hey, wait a second. Did you work out today? What did you do? So you have that accountability. And then you break it down into steps. So let's just say, I'll just use the example. They don't have any money. They need to lose weight. They can't join a gym.
Not motivated.
Yeah, they're not motivated. So here's the reality. What I would like for you to do is to identify 7 bad habits that you have regarding your weight, your self-image. 7 bad habits. And all I want you to do is get rid of 1 bad habit the first week and replace it with a good habit. So let's just say your bad habit is you drink soft drinks.
Yes.
Let's just say you have one soft drink a day. That's your bad habit. So your good habit is instead of drinking that soft drink, you're going to drink a bottle of water. You're going to grab a bottle of water instead of a Coca-Cola. Doesn't matter. It could be Pepsi. Doesn't matter. If that's the only thing that you do for a year, you'll lose 17 pounds.
Yeah, that's an interesting prospect.
That's it. That's the only thing. So week one, all I'm going to do is replace one. So I'm going to keep everything the same except for I'm going to get rid of one soft drink and put in one glass of water. And then week two, you do something different. Maybe instead of sitting in your chair for 8 hours while you work, you set your phone to go off every 90 minutes and you take a 5-minute walk 4 times a day. And you do that week two. But you keep the habit, the first habit going, right? And you add in the second habit. Maybe your mental input isn't right. Maybe you're not getting any positive input and you're watching a lot of negative stuff. Some people even actually watch the news on TV right before they go to bed.
Oh, yeah, big no-no.
That'll give you nightmares. So what if you cut the TV off before you went to bed for 20 minutes and listen to some Zig Ziglar instead?
Yeah, that's
and
right.
So now you're dreaming about your dreams instead of worrying about the world coming to an end. And so what you do is every week you do a very small goal, a simple, easy to achieve goal, replacing a bad habit with a good habit. And then every week you just add something else. You up your time on your walk. You maybe start, you replace, instead of having dessert every meal, you have dessert only at dinner, and then the next week only once, a week. You can do all kinds of little things.
Tom, I love that. I really like that.
So the way you remember this philosophy is real simple. Dad said that hurricanes and tornadoes get all the publicity, but termites do more damage. Take such little bitty bites.
That's right. Slow and steady win the race, but the race to get to the goal is small and incremental. Something that's doable. And listeners out there, that is what Tom is saying right now. We're speaking with Tom Ziglar again, CEO of Zig Ziglar Corporation, and we're talking about how to achieve your goals. And Tom, one thing that's very interesting to me is you also say that what you feed your mind determines your appetite. No pun intended. So can you speak a little bit about how important a person's mindset is at fueling their fire and how people can really ignite their own personal fire to succeed?
Absolutely. To me, this is the most important lesson that Dad taught me. His quote was, "You are what you are and where you are because of what's gone into your mind, and you can change what you are and where you are by changing what goes into your mind." I simplified that into what you feed your mind determines your appetite.
I see.
So here's the proof. My daughter is 21. Most people watching this will either have had a 17-year-old daughter at some point in their life, or a niece, or a sister, somebody they really, really care about. And imagine that your princess, your 17-year-old girl, who's the light of your life, is upstairs getting ready for a date. And outside of your house, the boyfriend drives up in his Transmero. Okay, Transmero is half Trans Am, half Camaro, right? You're getting right?
Right.
And the engine's going loud and the music's loud and you look out and there's your daughter's boyfriend and he is on his smartphone, and for 45 minutes before he comes in to get your precious baby girl to kill out on a date, he's looking at porn on his smartphone.
Oh, wow. That would,
well, that's not going to happen. Right?
No.
I'm in Texas, and let's just say I've got a lot of guns just for that, right?
Yeah, let's bring the tornado in and just isolate it on him. Yeah.
So that is the simple proof that what you put into your mind determines what you're going to want.
Yes.
And so if you want to be a leader, then you've got to put in leadership material into your mind. If you want to be known as the person who solves problems, who has a great attitude, who builds community, who helps people out of their situations, then you've got to listen to and associate with and be around people who that's their natural way of doing things. You got to read books and listen to podcasts and go to YouTube programs like this, because what you put in is going to determine what goes out. There is no other simpler, more profound lesson than you can learn. If you don't like who you are right now, that's okay. Because you are who you are because of what you've taken in, what you've chosen to believe. And now as an adult, you have the privilege of letting go and turning back and refusing to accept the wrong information and instead inviting the right information in.
This is a critical message right here, listeners, that Tom is talking about, because you are the average, they say, of the 5 people that you most closely associate with. So take a look right now around in your life. Who are you associating with? Are they uplifting you? Are they inspiring you? Or are they expiring you? It's really as simple as that. And Tom, let me ask you this. For the individual, I can certainly see that taking the steps necessary, you're going to see the end result that you're looking for. However, how about these startup businesses? That just, you have a conglomeration of different personalities. You have your type A personalities, go-getters. You have your hibernators. You have your dominators. You have your just kind of run-of-the-mill people that are in there. And I think you even mentioned it in one of your videos, talking about you have a lot of zombies that are in companies, just kind of taking up space. So what do you do if you're one of these people saying, I'm achieving my goals, I'm doing this, but the company is just kind of flatlining, or we're going to need to downsize or merge? So what I'm getting at is, what advice would you have for entrepreneurs, startup businesses, looking to get off the ground and stay focused while you have a lot of negativity and a lot of people not helping you, surrounding you?
Well, I'll do 2 pieces of advice, and one is, and this I'm quoting Seth Godin on. I'm a huge Seth Godin fan. I mean, he is just
he's great.
He's a great guy, and he actually, when Dad wrote the book Born to Win, we got a testimonial from Seth.
Oh, you did? Wow.
Now, here's the cool thing: is Seth, when he was starting his first company, Yo-Yo Dine, he listened to Dad's recordings 3 hours a day. And in Seth's own words, you never would have heard of Seth Godin had it not been for Zig Ziglar.
Yeah.
And so, bottom line, and so what is he really saying? What he's saying is that he was under so much pressure from his family, from it's a dog-eat-dog world when you're in the startup world, and you're trying to make all these things happen. You're doing everything in the business, your sales, your marketing, your operations, your administration, your everything. And so the most important thing that you have is your mindset, the belief that you can make it happen. And so you've got to keep that positive. So if you're in that environment right now as an entrepreneur, and you're a solo entrepreneur or you're just growing, you've got to feed yourself first. You can't do something that's not already within you. You've got to have that there. And you've got more capability than you understand. The second is, if you have a team of people around you as a leader, then there's a good chance you've got some zombies working for you. And a zombie is simply somebody who's disengaged. They don't care. They're there for the money. They do as little work as possible. And here's the problem, is they see no connection, none at all, between what they do on the job and their dream. And so as a leader, as the owner, as the entrepreneur, you've got to ignite your team. You've got to get them on fire. You've got to tap into whatever that individual's dream is. One person's dream might be to get out of debt. Somebody else might want to travel the world. Somebody else might want something else. Whatever their dream is, you need to tap into that and say, look, the better you do on your job, the faster you get your dream. Because when you do good on the job, you get more money, you get more commission, you get pay raises. All these things happen, and dreams take time and money. And what you want to do is create an atmosphere where people come to work for a dream instead of a paycheck.
Yeah.
And they don't get excited at the job until they know you care about them. Yeah. And so when you go to your people and you say, tell me about your family, what do you want to do on vacation? Where have you gone in your life? What are the things that you had to overcome? And then you say, what's your dream? What's next? and they start to share with you. In the beginning, it might be little. It might be a new car. It might be, paying off a loan. And then you say, let me help you. And you give them help. And help doesn't mean you hand them money. Help means if they need to get out of debt, you give them a Dave Ramsey book. And you say, look, I can help you budget. I know how to budget. Let me show you how to budget if you want to budget. That's where things turn around, is when your people know that you care about them personally and you want to help them get their dream. Because here's the trade-off. You have a dream too. And the fastest way to get your dream is to help those around you achieve their dream.
And that goes back to your company's mission statement right there.
Right. You can have everything in life you want if you'll just help enough other people get what they want.
And that's a very important message here on the Empower Hour. And speaking about empowering, I know your father had a routine, right? When he was on the airplane, correct me if I'm wrong, Tom, but when he used to go to different venues to speak at, didn't he used to sit there in the chair and just sit there for hours on end and just practice his speech? And I think you might have said this before. You said, Dad, you've done this speech thousands of times. Why are you practicing the same thing over and over again? And he replied by saying, because there's going to be somebody in the crowd who's heard it for the first time, and I want it to change their life. I found that fascinating, and that goes back to, again, self-discipline, being goal-oriented, and really being a person of integrity and going back and serving and caring about others. What for you, Tom, would you feel would be your greatest empower moment? Maybe some event or something in your life that inspired you to do the work you're doing now. And I certainly know your dad certainly has been probably a huge inspiration. Has there been any event or anything he said to you or anything profound that you read that said, I'm meant to do this and I'm living the life of passion?
There's been 2 or 3 things in my life. The first one, this is 25 years ago. And Dad was speaking. He was speaking at a big Amway event. So there was about 30,000 people there.
Oh, yeah.
This was before Quick Start. So this is old Amway.
Yes.
The good old days.
The good old days. The lights all blaring, running down the aisles, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So here's the scenario. Dad was the surprise speaker, meaning that the audience didn't know he was going to be there. It was in a big basketball arena. I think it sat about 20,000. And they let the whole room go for dinner about 4:30, and then they let everybody back in at 6:30. So between 5 and 6:15, we were able to set up our product table. Back in those days, we sold books, cassette tapes, and VHS tapes.
I think I've listened to some of your dads too back in the Quick Start, even in the early 2000s.
Yeah. So we had about 20 tables with product on it, and they gave us tablecloths to cover it up so that when people walked in, they would not know whose product it was, because Dad was a surprise. Well, the first guy comes running by, just like you just said, and he looks over at our table, and one of the tablecloths wasn't pulled all the way over, and he saw a picture of Dad on one of the album covers. And he came back to the table, and he said, is Zig Ziglar speaking here tonight? And I looked at him, and I went, shh, don't tell anybody. And he said, is he going to autograph books? And I said, yeah. And he said, where is that? And I pointed to the end of the table. He's going to autograph down there. He goes, is that where the line's going to be? I said, yeah. He said, well, I'm going to go stand in line. And I looked at him and I said, it's 6:30. You just came in. Dad's scheduled to start speaking at about 12 o'clock.
Wow.
It's an Amway event, which means it's going to run late.
Yeah.
He's probably going to start speaking at 1. I said, why don't you come back here around 11:30, 11:45? That way, the most you'll stand in line is an hour, and nobody even knows he's here, so you'll be the first one in line. Then he said, no, I'll just go stand in line now.
Wow.
So he goes and gets in line. So I'm like, this isn't going to last. So after an hour, I go over there. I say, hey, what's your story? Here's a story. He had immigrated from Central America. As I talked to him, I heard his accent. And he said, I came here for a better life. I moved to Chicago. I moved in with my brother-in-law. After 3 weeks, I said to him I needed to learn English. And he handed me this book, and it was the See at the Top book. And he told me, if you translate and transcribe this from English into Spanish and back, not only will you learn English, but it will change your life. And then the guy starts crying.
Wow.
That day I realized we weren't in the book and tape business, we were in the life-changing business.
Yes. Oh, absolutely.
So that was a turning point for me. That really changed the way I viewed things. Every person who walked in front of me, just like Dad was saying on the airplane with the story you told, he had one chance to make an impression, to change a life. You see, the what he did was speaking. He was really good at that, right? He liked that. But the how and the why was what made him the very top. It was the guy in the room, like, who was standing in line for 7 hours for an autograph before a line even started.
Yeah.
That's Dad did what he did. So that was a turning point. Another one that happened about 4 years ago, 3.5 years ago. Dad had just passed away, and I went to see one of my mentors. He was visiting Fort Myers, Florida, and we were having lunch. And he says, "How's the business going?" I said, "Oh, it's going good. You know, it's been hard because Dad had only passed away 2 months before." And he says, "Well, that's good because I want you guys to continue on." And he said, "You know, what are you going to do to grow?" And I started telling him. And then he asked me a question. He said, "How would you like to do 5 times the revenue this year?"
Wow. Maybe
And
5? Not bad.
I kind of like that.
Yeah.
He goes, "Good. What are you going to do?" And so I gave him the same answer that I'd already given him. And then he said, "Stop, stop, stop." He said, "Let me ask it a different way. You pick up your cell phone right now and it rings, and the voice on the other end of the line says, 'I've kidnapped your wife and your daughter.' You're never going to see them again unless you can generate 5 times the revenue by the end of the year. What would you do?"
Call to action. Call to action.
So that was a clarifying question, because all the things that we'd been doing that were good no longer mattered. The only thing that mattered was that one goal. And so for those who are watching and listening, what is the ultimate best thing that you can do? And what are the things that are standing between you and that you feel obligated to do? Because maybe you're not obligated. Maybe if the call at the other end of the line is that serious, you will get laser focused on that one thing. So that really helped me.
That helped you. Well, I
was going to say that was actually the birth of our Ziglar Legacy Certification Program.
Wow. And that's expanding. So you're now into, how many countries is it again? 12?
We're in 13 countries.
13.
And we have 160 people. So, and we're growing. We have another class coming up in about 6 weeks. So it's just been a real blessing. And so the answer to my question was, wow, we need help.
Yeah, it's growing. It's happening. Yeah.
We got to get more people involved if we're going to get 5 times the growth.
Yes.
And so that's what we did.
That's great. Well, I'll tell you right now, I would say to the listeners out there, a very important thing, if you want to achieve your dreams, you definitely want to set the goals. But I'd say right now, as Tom's saying, call to action. Put it on the line. Don't wait right now. If you need to make that phone call, text message. After we're done with this podcast, I want you to go out there and find whoever it is. If you need to contact somebody to get you that help. Let's say, for instance, you want to lose the weight and you want to go to the gym. We'll call the gym right away. If you don't want to call the gym and you want to stay at home and do something instead because of time constraints, well, let's go to the store and purchase a stability ball, some other weights. Start small, stay consistent, and then after you'll figure out your way to become persistent. And again, we're talking with Tom Ziglar here. He is the son of the famed Zig Ziglar, famed motivational speaker, salesman, author of so many books out there. And Tom, let me just ask you this. Is there something profound from the stories that you've shared with your father over the years, and he shared with you, that have impacted his life? What has been his sort of path to inspiration? Because he's one of 12 children, is that correct?
Yeah.
And
10 to 12 kids.
Wow. So his parents, your grandparents were busy raising them. So how did he find the will in there to achieve? Did he get the resources as a kid? And did he get all the attention of sorts? It seems like an amazing story coming from such a large family.
Yeah, so just a quick biography on Dad. He was the 10th of 12 kids. When he was 5 years old, his father died.
Yeah.
So he was raised by a single mom in Yazoo City, Mississippi during the heart of the Great Depression.
Wow.
His mom had a fifth grade education. So the good news is his dad didn't have to start work until he was 6 years old.
Until he was 6. I'm glad he held off until he was 6. He got to, get out of the diapers, walk around, enjoy the swing sets, and then here we go. Unbelievable.
He was selling peanuts on the corner. Then soon after that, I think he was 8 or 9, he started working in the grocery store. He never did well in school. He went into the Navy at the end of World War II. He got out and went a little bit of college, didn't graduate from college. In fact, Dad said this: he didn't do well in school. He was in the part of the class that made the top half possible.
Made it possible, yeah. He kept them in balance, right? He raised them up. Yeah.
And he got his first sales job after that, and for 2.5 years, he didn't sell anything. Well, he did. He sold his car. He sold his furniture. I mean, he was just in survival mode. And then a man named P.C. Merrill, who Dad respected, came to him. They were at a conference together, and P.C. Merrill was a leader in the organization. He'd just spoken. He came to Dad one-on-one, put his hand on him, and he said, "Zig, in all my life, I've never seen such a failure. But if you believed in yourself and went to work on a regular schedule, you could be a champion." So Dad believed it. He's like, "What? This man thinks I can be a champion?" And so that was the day that he went on a mission to figure out what it meant to believe in himself and what it meant to go to work on a regular schedule. So he set a goal that he would be knocking on the door, because they were in direct sales in the homes then, at 9 a.m. every day. That was number one. And number two, what does it mean to believe in yourself? Well, that year he finished number 2 out of 7,000 salespeople. In the previous 2.5 years, he'd never ranked in the top 5,000. And the only thing that changed was his mindset.
Right.
And his persistent consistency. He was knocking on a door at 9 a.m. That was his first turning point. He then became the golden boy, the guy everybody wanted. He got recruited, and he'd go to all these different deals, and he'd start strong and then collapse because there was no stability. He moved 10 times in 13 years, lost everything 3 or 4 times. And then in 1972, that was the second turning point. And that was when he became a Christian, a born-again believer. And that's when he understood you can have everything in life you want if you'll help enough other people get what they want. That's when he realized that he didn't have it. He tried his best all these years, but he was making his decisions through the wrong filter. So his personal relationship with Christ changed everything. So those were the 2 turning key empowerment moments in his life that I love to share, because it's a testimony. When you have a incredible work ethic and you're doing it for the right reasons, it can take you so far. But when you understand the eternal position that you have in a faith, it takes it over the top. So that's what happened to Dad.
Tom, those are 2 key points that you mentioned. You highlighted this back early on in the interview, and listeners, I want to reiterate this. It's important that it starts from the mental, the mind, the spiritual, and then it can manifest into physical means. And it's really in base the law of attraction that we're seeing. Man shall thinketh, shall receiveth. And now here's the thing I want to say, is that your father he's traveled everywhere, right? And he's been and spoken to different people. Who are the toughest people on the planet to motivate, would you say? Out of all the different people, I'm just being very neutral with this, because you have kids, you have adults, you have people in different professions, different health circumstances, different nationalities, everywhere all over the world. Have you found that certain people are a little bit more obstinate in trying to change their ways versus others that are more flexible and malleable, if you will?
Yeah, I mean, that's an interesting thing. one of the things that I learned from Dad is he never once complained about any audience. He never said, wow, they don't have an attention span, or they don't care, they're not paying attention. Instead, he spent all of his energy focusing on what he could do. He could tell jokes and stories and use humor and, use voice inflection and move around that would keep people's attention. And so if you're worried about an audience, don't spend your time worrying about, well, that's a group of engineers. They have no sense of humor. They're very quiet. That's not what you focus on. You focus on what you can do to get them engaged.
So everybody has something in them. You just have to find what it is. And your father was really a master at that, finding a way that the engineer, the logical mind, they have to kind of see it to believe it first, versus somebody who's maybe more of spiritual based, who can hear the more esoteric or ethereal components to success.
And that plane ride where Dad was working on a speech actually is an illustration for the question you have. Is not only would he prepare 3 hours for every talk he gave, even though he'd given it thousands of times, he was also taking into consideration the audience he was going to. And he would adjust his talk based on the audience. So just to give you an example, if I'm going to do a keynote speech on the second day of a 4-day conference at 9 a.m., I'm going to have a different keynote than if I do the keynote on the 4th day at 3 p.m.
Right.
Because at 3 p.m. on the 4th day, they're going to be exhausted. They're going to be worn out.
Right.
And so I'm going to have them stand up and high five and do a lot more interactivity. It's not going to be about a thinking logic problem. It's going to be a lot more about emotion and one thing they can take with them.
Yeah.
And so we've got to understand the audience and the circumstance.
Okay. And I'll tell you, speaking of falling asleep, just in a side note, on the plane, your father was also notorious not only for going 3 hours, but I guess he hit the sack right away, right? Even on liftoff and bringing it down, he knew when to sleep and when to be awake. He was on a routine.
Absolutely. He was a completely worry-free traveler.
Yeah.
He would get to the airport on time. If the plane left on time, he was happy. If it didn't, he was happy. He had all his work he could do. If he needed to make alternate arrangements, he would. There wouldn't be any emotion involved. He would just do it. But when he got on the plane, he would tell the flight attendant, my seatbelt is buckled, I'm going to take a nap.
Right.
And he'd fall asleep, and he wouldn't wake up until the plane was airborne and the wheels were folded underneath. So
I wish I had his mentality getting on the planes, just conking out versus, here we go, whoa. That's great. Now, here's another question. I just want to get back to your point on one thing, because I'm trying to figure out, and listeners out there, maybe you figured it out already, or you're wondering the same question I am. Which is the cause, which is the effect? Do you have to, because going back to your father being inspired through, the PC Merrill, having somebody believe in you, does that become the impetus for then being persistently consistent? Or do you have to be persistently consistent to then believe? So what's first, the belief in yourself? And then through the belief, you're going to naturally be persistent, consistent, or the other way around. You just have to just do it, put your head down. Even if you don't believe it, you're faking it till you make it. And then all of a sudden, voila, I believe. I don't know. I'm questioning that one.
Yeah. Here's the thing. And I asked myself a similar question, like, which comes first?
Yes.
Your character or habits? Does character allow you to create winning habits, or do habits allow you to create character?
Well,
because,
yeah. I was going to say, does it go back to the thoughts being the root, and then your thoughts kind of lead you to your actions, right? Doing an action.
So when we have a 2-year-old, we have to give them the habit of sharing, because they don't have that naturally. They might have a sharing capacity within, it's undeveloped, and then as parents, we teach them how to share. And sharing is a good character quality. I think we'll all agree that is. And so in that particular case, maybe the habit came before the quality. But I think the reality is we need to have the quality within us a little bit, and then the habit gives endurance to that.
I see. Excellent.
Okay? And so I think if Dad had not been yearning and seeking inspiration, in other words, he created the habit of wanting to be successful, he just didn't know how. Then if he hadn't had that mindset of how do I do it, when it came, when the right person told him, boom, he took off. And so in order to be inspired, I think we have to at some point want to be inspired. And so that's why when you look at a sequence, let's just say we are uninspired right now. We're like done. You know, life is over. Everything I've tried has failed. The first thing that's got to happen is we've got to see hope again. Because hope creates optimism. And so Dad always created hope in an audience, and this is what I try to do as well. And so here's how I would create hope. If you're listening right now, I just want you to answer this question truthfully. Is there anything you can do today in your personal, family, or business life? Is there anything you can do right now that'll make things worse? Yeah, right? I mean, if you had a knife, you could cut your finger off. That'd be worse.
Right.
Okay, is there anything you could do right now that would make things better? Well, yeah. I could drink a nice cold bottle of water. I could take a 5-minute walk. I could stretch. I could text someone that I love a nice text message that says I'm grateful for them. Boy, when that reply comes back, just watch. So here's what's happened in this one moment. Without even realizing it, you've admitted in your own mind that you have the power to make things better or worse, and the choice is yours.
I like how you say the choice is yours, because there's no Buddhist philosophy that says when the student is ready, the master appears. But the student, can only be ready when they take action. They develop habits. And they have to somehow within spark that inspiration. And then, all of a sudden, they attract what they're waiting for, what's longing in their deepest soul. And I think that's a lot of times out there we don't realize. We can't just sit there and wait for things to come to us. We have to take action right away. And Tom, it's been great having you on the show, and I'd like to close out the Empower Hour today by asking, how can people learn more about the work of your father, Zig Ziglar, and the work that you're doing to help advance personal development out there?
The best place to go is Ziglar.com, so Ziglar.com, and we have a lot of gifts there. So you can get some free downloads, you can get on our newsletter, we have an ebook that we give away.
The Ziglar Show?
Also, yeah, that's Ziglar.com. And the Ziglar Show is one of those free gifts.
Great.
The Ziglar Show is our podcast, and that's free. You can get that at iTunes or Stitcher. It's also at Ziglar.com. You'll see a button right there. You can subscribe to it right there. That's the best place to go. You'll learn all of Ziglar there.
Double thumbs up today, Tom. Very good. Thank you very much for being on our show. And once again, listeners, today is the first day for you to make the steps necessary. Be persistently consistent. Set the goals you need to achieve the dreams, because anything is possible. When it starts from here, the world is yours. Thank you, Tom, for being on our show today.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you.